Welcome. This is going to be Green Generation, Divisions B and C for both the regional and state competition for next year. And so before I get going about the event, a little bit about me. So I am Dr. C. Robyn Fischer. I got my PhD in biology in Illinois, which is where I started with Science Olympiad back in 2006. I'm a professor and a tutor and the National Event Supervisor for the Ecology, Water Quality, and Green Generation rotation, as well as being a member of the National Committee for Life Sciences. So for Green Generation, fairly straightforward here. We are in year 2 of our rotation. So this was in last year. We've just moved our focus from the aquatic biomes into the terrestrial biomes. So besides a basic knowledge of ecology and those biomes, we're also going to be looking at problems resulting from human impacts as well as solutions to those problems. Like many of our life sciences events, not only are students going to be tested on basic knowledge, but also their application and process skills. The team of up to 2 students has 50 minutes to either take the test or move through the stations. Now, as far as differences between Division B and Division C, and then your regional versus state competitions, mostly it's just the overall level of difficulty of the questions, and you should see more application questions versus just recall general knowledge questions as you move from Division B to Division C, from regionals to state. We do have one small addition for Division C only. Just like last year, this will be legislation and economic opportunity. So that topic is just for Division C. Students should bring something to write with to the event. They're each allowed a non-programmable, non-graphing calculator. And then per team, they're allowed 1 double-sided sheet of notes. Again, pretty standard for the life sciences. Now, as we have had before for all of our life science events, there will be a lot of information up on the national website as the year goes through here. Some of this material is currently being updated or will appear later on as the clinics close throughout the country. But keep checking back to the national website. You'll see website links for the Green Generation event specifically, sample exercises. Generally we try to put out some sample exams as well for regional level competitions. Training handouts, these are currently being updated and revised by my subcommittee, and so we'll work to push those out to you guys at the clinic and then also to the national website. So we'll have that traditional breakdown for each of the 3 parts of this event. You're going to have detailed handouts so that you can see what kinds of content we're looking to test on and give you a place to start. Event supervisor tips, these are great for everybody to read. We put them out for the ESs, but again, they're available to everyone. CDs, of course, are available from the national website for lots of different biology areas. And then additionally, you guys will be getting supplemental files from me. So in addition to the recordings, I'll provide the PowerPoint slides separately. I have a Word doc that I'll update for the event that will include sample questions, a resource list to start out from, notes that I've used when I've taught these different topics as classes, and a sample station for Green Generation. So general preparation, Start with that foundational general knowledge as far as the ecology topics go. And then again, we're focusing on terrestrial biomes this year. So make sure the students are studying those biomes that are listed this year. And then, of course, applying their general knowledge to those individual biomes. So do they know what a food chain is? Can they define and draw out a basic food chain, know all the terminology for a food chain? But then can they apply that to, say, a forest and write in specific examples of organisms in the forest that they would find in their food chain? Process skills, of course. So for example, looking at a graph, looking at a set of data, can they pull out general trends that they see with the data and then try to apply that to what they know about ecology and how ecosystems, biomes work. Basic textbook examples I'll include on my Word doc of books that I've used in the past that are easy to get old copies of relatively cheap if you want some additional hardback textbooks in addition to the websites and the other resources. But then again, for any biology class that has kind of an environmental science component to it, of course, you would want to use anything that applies in that case. So are there classroom activities, videos that the school has that you can use, taking field trips, anything hands-on that you can use to make sure that the students are really grasping this material. So for the first part, which is over general knowledge, again, any relevant ecology materials can be used with that application towards our terrestrial biomes this year. And last year, I had put in some new topics of emphasis that were already kind of understood to be under the theme of green generation and mentioned in a lot of the handouts and whatnot, but not specifically in the rules. For the first part here, we kept in listed specifically in the rules invasive species that was inserted last year. But other than that, you won't see any changes to part 1. Then for part 2, here we're looking at environmental issues and impacts. So for our terrestrial environmental issues, so from last time in, this includes topics like desertification, deforestation, soil pollution, waste disposal, and mining. Then for our population growth issues, again, same as the last time we were in. This includes topics such as habitat destruction, farming practices, fertilizers, and pesticides. And then lastly, decided after looking over the whole rotation here of our 3 different events, to stay with a little bit of climate change this year, just in terms of the effects on plants, animals, and ecosystems. Because then again, we want to make sure that we are tying in all these different ideas and relating them to each other and keeping that kind of theme going in the rotation. So you should see some questions that are focused on climate change impacts, just in really general terms. Then for part 3, the solutions. So no changes from the last time this event was in. So our sustainable strategies stays in. That was in last year as well with the aquatics. But again, now this should be applied to terrestrial systems. We've got our remediation strategies in still. So how do we clean things up, whether we're cleaning up water or cleaning up the land? A lot of that is very, very similar. Then we've got our energy sources coming back in from the last time it was in when we were in terrestrial. So students should know about non-renewable, renewable, and alternative energy sources. Waste management is back in, since again, it mostly ties to terrestrial systems. And then our division C only topics fit into part 3, our solutions. So that's going to fall under here. So that's going to include them knowing basic legislation, that will be listed on the handout, so have a general starting point for what laws they should know about, and then also some guidelines on what we mean by economic opportunity. So that is a nutshell what you're going to see for green generation this year. So again, not a lot of changes. We had our aquatic systems in last year. We're just shifting to the terrestrial biomes and more of a terrestrial focus in terms of the specific problems and solutions.